Yeah, one of the things I keep pointing out to people now, because so many people are challenging me on, me being so tough a little bit here on our premier, because I said, where are all the liberals in this province? Where are the liberals hiding? Because provincially, we don't have a liberal party, so they have to be somewhere. So where are they exactly? I draw the line between, okay, well, I'm fiscally conservative, but I'm socially progressive. That's called being liberal, right? Just because you want to balance a budget doesn't make you a conservative, right? Especially if all your
Hmm.
social policies are progressive. That you're a liberal. So, but then you've got I think they're in the progressive conservative camp. Oh, I'm fiscally
Hmm.
conservative, but I'm socially progressive. And that cracks me up because so call yourself what you are. I'm a liberal, right? But this is where I'm hiding behind the blue coat. And then if you are not fiscally conservative, you're like, hey, print more money. Let's just go balls to the wall on spending and social programs and who cares? Those are your NDPers, right? That's the
Yeah,
complete,
yeah.
train heading, well, I think we've already arrived to communism, right? That's full on Marxist. So, and then I think the progressive conservatives call themselves because they don't want to call themselves liberals. They're like, it's almost like they're trying to convince themselves otherwise. But I find it interesting because we do have a lot of immigrants in this country, though. So many people, I think, would feel that if we went back to being that Christian country, that maybe their rights might be infringed upon. What do you say to that?
Like, I don't think so. I mean, I think when you look back at Canada before 1982, it doesn't seem to me that people's rights were being infringed upon. Like, it seemed like a very free and happy society. And like, even at that time, there were people from all over the world pouring into Canada in the 1970s. If they thought that this was a country that was violating rights, it doesn't make any sense that they would have been coming here. And that was before the charter. So it doesn't. I can't see why Canada turning back to its more freedom-oriented Christian roots would be, lead to any kind of rights violation at all.
Yeah, I think if anything, it would lead to greater protection for everybody, everybody who calls
Mhm.
themselves a Canadian and who lives here. Um, I think we pretty much covered all the. I mean, I still have lots of stickies, but I think we kind of touched on the big ones. Any last words or last thoughts that you'd leave people with?
Can I just bring up, you mentioned Mittiga. I think his name was Ross Mittiga, a
Yes.
professor who was talking about climate change that I quote in Time to Leave. And I just want to bring that up for context. Mittiga, he's a professor in Chile, but he's actually an American. He was a Democratic Party activist in Virginia. So he reflects like American progressive ideology. And he wrote an article for the American Political Science Review that I quote in my book, and it's a very prestigious journal that he wrote for, and he was very honest about it, as you mentioned, how when dealing with climate change, progressives see freedom as a problem because if you have freedom, people can speak against climate change policies, and that's so he's proposing different kinds of policies to deliberately restrict freedom so that people can't oppose climate change policy. But this is kind of a you know, I mean, it's good that someone can be so honest about it, so we know the kind of direction that some of these people are thinking. Some of these major progressives are thinking about how they're openly talking about restricting our freedoms as a way of addressing the climate change problem. So I just wanted to throw that context in because I think his article is very significant. He's a significant person, and on top of that, all I would just want to mention, if it's okay, if I can mention that my books are available at a website called merchantship.ca. That's a Didsbury-based family business. So you're helping a family business if you go there. So the business is called Merchant Ship, and their website is merchantship.ca. And if you search my name there, the books that we talked about would be available there.
And many more books. I strongly, anybody who's listening, and I have actually, I was at the for times such as these, and I think I promoted your book more than I promote. Your lovely wife was sitting over there with all your books. I'm like, you need to go buy these books in particular. So, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Well, it was really funny that you mentioned that because even, in the US, for our US listeners, Kamala Harris, and JD Vance, both of them, Jesus is King came up, and it was funny because it just get blurted out of the crowd, and JD Vance's response was yes, Jesus is King, and Kamala Harris was you're at the wrong rally. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
and that is truly the difference between this progressive left woke ideology, this train that, I think Canada really just needs to abandon. And I think that is going to take such tremendous political pressure, because politicians just, they do. It's about them getting elected and then staying elected. It's not about necessarily the citizens and doing what's right. Otherwise, I mean, and it is about principles. And this is the one thing, like, people have challenged me right now, and it is about principles. Leaders are going to come and go. I right now I'm challenging Danielle Smith, but you know what?